Welcome to the beginning of your new life. These next 3 weeks are going to be incredible. Yes, desperate.
Oh, I always arrive 20 minutes late to the first rehearsal.
Welcome our fellow.
I don't know if weakest is the right word. It's really important that we all move together as an ensemble, and there's definitely someone who's not doing that.
Okay, let me get this straight. You're just gonna fire one person of color in the cast. I'm the fucking lead. The first African-American, cis female gendered Dionysus.
I am Dionysus.
I'm really happy for Tyler. When does Tyler's understudy begin coming into rehearsals?
She's my understudy.
Colorblind casting, it's very New York right now, very in.
Okay.
And also, like, the right thing to do. Am I ready to be the face of the show? Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my god.
Daphne!
So, as the only POC in this cast.
I'm sorry, but I'm non-white.
Right. I'm in of the darker hue. Lin-Manuel Miranda better watch out. Coming for his genre. I've written a vehicle for myself.
I won't get up.
It is a show about the late, great Rosa Parks.
You're obnoxious.
Hey, girl.
Hi. You're rude.
Lotioning me.
And you're a fake social justice warrior. And the worst part of it all is you're my fucking favorite.
It's really hard, being extraordinary. My agent once said that if the roles don't come to you,
Your
then
agent's dead. He killed himself. She's not wrapped.
Well, Zora, thank you so much for joining us. The Daphne Project going to be premiering in New York City at the legendary Quad Cinema from July 22nd to the 28th, and later this year on Fuse Plus. We just checked out the trailer. This is pretty hilarious. How did you come up with this concept?
It's funny because it feels like it's years in the making. So Alec and I were classmates at LaGuardia High School, and both have always had a love of film and comedy and creating characters. And our plan was to audition for our school's talent show, and the premise was just like a series of bad auditions. And through that, it started kind of playing around with this very like posturing character who was over the top and kind of believed that she had already reached the height of her success, and everyone else that she was collaborating with were just kind of like the little people and being graced by her presence. And the activism was in there a little bit too. And I don't know, we just kept playing with her and kind of wondering years later what she would be doing. And I think Alec had seen me in a production of The Buckeye at La Mama in New York. And he was like, that's the strangest thing I've ever seen, but also I loved it. And I feel like it was a moment of inspiration. He was like, yes, this is what Daphne would be doing in present day. And we started writing from that space of, what would she be like to actually collaborate with?
Have you met a Daphne in real life? Not necessarily the name, but more of so the personality?
Different facets. Like I've met like really intense like method actors who are kind of like just concerned with their choices and not so much the other people that they're working with. I've met a few divas. I feel like there are bits of Daphne in everyone, more than people would like to admit. But she's definitely a heightened composite of a lot of personalities I've encountered.
Yeah, I think people in the performing arts can definitely relate to, at least to some extent. Now, as far as filming this and everything, obviously we've been going through the pandemic the last couple of years. Were there any challenges in filming and casting?
It's interesting because this process, at least the writing of it, started in 2018. And then we were shooting in 2019, prior to the pandemic. And I feel like where it became challenging was, we had a cut of it that we loved and were ready to share and start submitting. And it was right as most festivals were like, we don't even know if we're continuing or, doing hybrid or virtual only. It was just like such a big toss up, and it felt very discouraging to be kind of just starting to share the film at that time. So it created more of a delay later on in the process, which felt harder too, because it's like, oh my God, like we shot this and we made it and we're ready to share it, but the whole world has kind of stopped, which made last year such a huge relief, because I feel like things were starting to open up everywhere, and especially in the film circuit and creatively for people. So it felt like a lot of starting and stopping, which was hard, and just keeping each other motivated and not too discouraged.
And when you're going out there and pitching this and trying to get distribution and everything, of course, Fuse Plus picked it up. Did you preface this by saying this is a mockumentary comedy, or did you kind of just sort of explain the concept and have them kind of interpret it for themselves? Because I would imagine if somebody's just tuning in on Fuse Plus or going to watch it at Quad Cinema, if they don't know anything about it going in, they might actually think it's real.
You know, that does happen sometimes. People are like, so these aren't real people. And it's like, they're based on some very real people, but no. It's interesting with Fuse, because I feel like it was something that fell into our lap through the festival circuit. Like, our main contact person at Fuse was like, I've been hearing great things about this film just from different people who've seen it along the festival circuit, and would you be interested in sending a screener to us and, you know, talking further. And it just felt really special and organic in that way, to have the film kind of speak for itself as it was going along this journey. I don't know, it's hard. Whenever people ask me for a synopsis, I'm just kind of like, it's about a struggling actress who is like gunning for the lead of a show, but also like playing the race card, and she's complicated. And it's almost funny, because it's like, I like to give people a warning, but sometimes I'm kind of like, just watch it and glean what you will. But it's fun in that way. And I think shooting it mockumentary style helps kind of land the awkwardness and the humor that is intentional.
With comedy, it's always complicated, right? Because especially these days, you kind of got to walk a line between what's funny, what's controversial, what's maybe too far. So was there anything you had to leave on like the cutting room floor? I was like, okay, this definitely can't make the film.
It's interesting, because we shot the first 25 minutes sort of under the guise of a web series pilot. And then the rest of the film kind of came later on. And I feel like that beginning kind of faced a little bit of pushback, and then we were really nervous, like, should we finish it? Like, should we make the whole thing? And I think we just kind of comfort ourselves with thinking about all the examples that we grew up watching and things that are on TV now. And there's a lot of daring comedy right now. And I think there is a line, but I feel like you can tell when comedy is done with care, and when it is trying to get to the root of something, and when it's just kind of careless. So I feel like we're super mindful of that, but I don't think we left anything out. Like, I feel like we went through a period of doubt and wondering if it was too much. And then once we were done with that, we just kind of committed. I don't think we've done anything that hasn't been quite done. I don't know. It's weird, because I started thinking about what I like to watch and what speaks to me. And I feel like there's a lot of humor that you're kind of like, ooh, but it hits you. And I feel like we just kept aiming for that, to hit people, but also make them think.
And in terms of your career, what came first for you? Was it the creating aspect? Was it acting? Did they kind of go hand in hand over time?
Kind of hand in hand over time. Like, I have always been writing in more of a personal way, a lot of journaling, a lot of poetry. And then the acting kind of came early on too, around middle school and improv classes, and having a teacher encourage me to audition for LaGuardia. And I feel like I kind of just stuck with it from then on. And I went back to school for writing and was actually in grad school while we were filming. And that always felt super natural, because it's like, here are both of these things that I've always loved. And now I feel like I'm getting the chance to throw myself into them equally.
And in terms of just selling this film, getting the distribution, everything through Fuse Plus, going through the whole film festival circuit, was there any lessons that you learned? Because you're still really young in your career. And I'm sure there's going to be people watching, listening to this, wondering, okay, how do I do that?
Right. I'm like, how am I doing? I think it's a matter of sticking to your vision and having that confidence. And I feel like that's something that Daphne has gifted me with. Like, I know she's extreme, but I feel like she believes in herself, you know, and doesn't back down. And I feel like I try to carry that into my creative life too, of just, there are going to be disappointments, there are going to be rejections. But if you feel like you're meant to do something, you stick to it. And that's been how I push through, honestly.
We have been talking about the Daphne Project, which is, again, coming out of the Quad Cinema, July 22nd to the 28th, later this year in Fuse Plus. But anything else we should be on the lookout for with you?
Well, Alec and I definitely want to keep writing comedy together. I think that we have the same sense of humor, oddly, and want to keep doing social commentary and finding ways to make people laugh and think and be more aware. And then it's cool because we also write things very separately. I've been writing a new feature, and I finally gotten to like the last act of it, and writing is really hard. And then there's like a film premiere happening in the midst of everything. So it's just getting that written and hopefully finding some funding for it is kind of what's next for me, is because Daphne was filmed on a very small budget. And I think for the next project, in order to just like have my vision be truly what it is meant to be, I will probably need more money. But yeah, a new feature is in the works, and it's different from Daphne, but it's still very much in that vein of looking at humanity in ways that we can all do better.
Why should people check out the Daphne Project?
They should check it out if they want to laugh and relive their theater background trauma.
That's a great selling point. I love that. And before we let you go, where can we find you online, and where can we find you next?
I am on Twitter running my mouth. That's just Zora_Iman. And I'm also on Instagram as Zormani Exchange. My friend from college came up with that, and I'm probably never changing it, but that's Zormani_Exchange. And I'm on Facebook with all of the elders.